What's up, friends? I think I'm live. Okay. So we're going to start by reacting to some content today. But today I'm going to read your vegan stories set to dramatic music and with slight embellishment. Slight embellishment. I put out a post yesterday on my YouTube post section asking y'all for your vegan stories to honor you and give it the gravitas that it deserves. Your stories. I did it for my heard myself there for a second. I did it for myself, but I should do it for all of you. So Alicia, happy Friday. If you would like to share your vegan story, drop it here in the chat. And when people start to show up, I'll give it a dramatic read. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read between the lines. I'm going to find those nuggets from the story that you didn't tell me about, but I could sense. So until we get to that, we'll do some reacting. Give people a chance to get here first. We're going to start like we did the last time. We're going to learn some stuff from vegan gays. Here we are. 5 everyday things you didn't know were hurting animals. This is from Vegan Gays and Vegan FTA.
Think that we are doing things. For most of us, we like to think that we are doing things that aren't hurting animals. But here are 5 things that are secretly hurting animals, and we don't necessarily know very much about it. Number 1, wool. Wool might seem like a harmless, eco-friendly material, but the process behind getting it is anything but gentle. Sheep are often sheared in chaotic, stressful environments, and this leads to a lot of injuries because they have to be sheared in a specific amount of time. Some countries practice things such as mulesing, which is removing skin around the tail without pain relief. Lambs are also castrated without pain relief. And people tend to think, and I definitely thought this growing up, that we need to shear the sheep because they are producing all this wool, they keep doing it, and we see situations where if they're not sheared, then that can lead to problems for them. Sheep weren't magically walking the earth hoping that one day a human would shear them. They were selectively bred to overproduce this wool to then become reliant on humans. So we've put them in this position that they shouldn't be in the first place. Number 2, eggs. Eggs are a staple in many kitchens, but the reality of the egg industry can be shocking. Despite the
So we're not actually learning a ton because we knew this. This is not geared towards us, but it's a good warm-up.
Free-range egg label to make the consumer feel more comfortable. These animals don't actually have free range to move. The majority are still in these cramped conditions, but it isn't the conditions that fundamentally matter. They are being exploited for their eggs. And again, we might think, oh, this is just excess. This is they produce so many eggs. Again, they've been selectively bred to do so. Their ancestor, the jungle fowl, would not be producing this many eggs. We have bred that attribute into them. This can lead to loads of health issues because the way we've selectively bred them, they can have all sorts of problems and nutrients are leached from their body. So the good thing to do with eggs is actually to feed them back to the chickens so that they can get some of those nutrients back. And of course, what happens to the males? They can't lay eggs. So they are typically macerated. So they're put in an industrial blender or they're suffocated in bags or gassed. It is a horrific industry with mass exploitation and a huge death toll. Number 3, dairy. Of course, there needs to be a baby in the picture for milk to be produced by a mammal like us. And these babies in the dairy industry are taken away from their mothers. They themselves may just end up being killed, especially if they are male. Or if they're female, they'll go on to be exploited and artificially inseminated, forcibly impregnated themselves. There's a pattern here. The dairy cows are actually selectively bred to overproduce milk. This can cause issues such as mastitis, laminitis, all these problems that are the result of humans selectively breeding these animals to just exhaust themselves. This is the issue with seeing individuals as commodities. We think we can just exploit their bodies for our use. And what do you think happens to these animals when they can no longer lactate? They are useless to the industry that is using them, so they are killed. It's time to think twice about where that glass of milk came from. Number 4. The pet trade. The trade of companion animals may seem like an innocent industry.
Less talked about by us, I suppose.
We see animals such as dogs and cats and think they are just fully protected. Unfortunately, many animals are suffering because of this industry. Exotic animals are often taken from their natural habitats and they are put through horrific transport conditions in order to get to a different country. Once they're at their destination, they are put in conditions that don't actually fulfill their social or physical needs. So they lack fundamental enrichment. And the issue with breeding animals like dogs and cats is, what about all the ones who already exist, who already need homes, are in those shelters for a human to look after them? Many of these shelters euthanize these animals if they can't find homes for them. Not to mention, a lot of the time people want purebred dogs. Purebred dogs usually have characteristics that aren't in their best interest. For example, some dogs struggle to even breathe. They have specific hip or heart conditions bred into their breed. And not only that, some features are man-made, i.e. cropping dogs' ears in order to make them look more aesthetically pleasing. Putting them through a painful procedure just so we can enjoy what they look like is disgusting and shows that we are seeing these animals as commodities. We think we've come so far with animals like dogs and cats. We think we protect them and look after them and serve their best interests. However, these are some examples of how we are not considering them. Number 5, horseback riding. For many, horseback riding is a pastime that is fun, but for horses, it can be a painful and stressful experience. Horses aren't desperate for someone to just sit on their back. Horses used for riding, especially in competitive settings, struggle with issues such as joint problems, back pain, or even ulcers. There are also devices used to inflict pain in order to control the animal, which is further proof that the animal doesn't want to do it, because why do they need to be controlled into doing that behavior if that's a behavior they want to do in the first place? You can find these used in their mouths or on their sides to kick them. And in the case of horse racing, we see many of these animals suffer fatalities because they've injured themselves on the track. So you may have seen that they take them behind a board or a veil and end up shooting them. Betting on these animals, this includes animals such as greyhounds, is not in their best interest. It's seeing them as commodities. They never signed up to be part of our gambling. So what can you do? It's tough to hear about how general practices that we've all really been born into are things that actually harm animals. But fear not, because there are things that you can do. One of those things would be choosing plant-based options for food. Avoid the animal exploitation by not paying for their bodies or their secretions. They never signed up for their bodies or secretions to be used, so it's quite simple, really. We don't use them. Pick the plant-based milk. Use things like silken tofu or other egg substitutes in baking. There's loads that you can use, from crushed up bananas to applesauce to chia seed pudding. There's all sorts of interesting things that you can use in your baking and other places where eggs are used. And finally, don't place bets on animals.
And you can also get Just Egg, which is great.
They didn't sign up to be part of our gambling, so why are we doing it? Those have been 5 things that are secretly hurting animals that you may not have known about. If you didn't know about these practices, then let us know down below. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to go vegan for the animals, because they are who it means everything to.
All right, thank you, Elle, for getting us started. That was 5 everyday things you didn't know were hurting animals. So I linked to it, so go give that video some love. That was Vegan FTA, and Elle was doing that video. She goes by Vegan Gaze on YouTube, and you should check out her channel as well. All right, what next? Joey Carbstrong. Well, that escalated quickly.
You don't like watching this?
No, I don't eat
Really?
meat
I don't know. Why don't you eat meat?
because I don't like the way it's farmed, and I don't like the way that we don't need to. There's plenty of alternatives that we can eat
Exactly.
that give
Yeah.
you the same
What's up, Mobius?
benefits, and I do eat eggs.
For her as well, Just Egg would be great. Also, there's Wonder Egg, which I think you can get at Whole Foods. Just Egg is more widely available. It's made of mung bean, and it's delicious, especially the egg patties. I like the egg patties better. All right, we're getting Alicia's story. You tell me when it's ready. Tell me when your story's ready, Alicia, and we'll do it. We'll do the dramatic retelling.
Eggs, and I do eat milk. I can't vegan. I find hard. Vegetarian.
What?
I like cheese. I don't think it. I mean, I buy organic milk. I buy milk. I try to eat
Why do you do that? Why do you buy organic milk and not conventional milk? Tell me.
because I think that the animals will be treated better if it's organic. They're not injected with antibiotics and
Okay.
different.
Why do you believe that they will be treated better because there's an organic label on there? Do you
I
trust?
don't
Do you
know.
trust the label?
Yeah, I live part of the time between in London and the Isle of Man, and on the Isle of Man it's all grass there. The animals are all grass fed. They graze out in the fields. The milk there is from the cows that I can see, grazing on the hillside. I buy sheep's milk as well, and there's sheep grazing out on the pastures. So
Yeah,
they've been
So lovely, those sheep and cows grazing on the pastures. So lovely that we just, take a bolt gun and put it up to their foreheads and blast them in the forehead with it so that a metal rod goes into their brain, blood gushes, and then they go onto the ground, writhing around in pain. So lovely. And then we grab them by their hoofs and hook them onto this machine that hoists them up. And then we take a knife and we stick it in their throat and jaggedly pull it against, sideways, so that all this blood gushes. So quaint, so beautiful.
nice and live. They're not kept in. They're not kept in, in a barn, or they're not intensively farmed that way.
Yeah.
I would eat meat if it was, I knew that the animal would have a nice life.
A nice life before that, all that stuff I just described. A lovely fraction of a life before the farmer who the animal has grown to trust, puts them on a truck and sends them off to this place, this quaint place, otherwise known as a slaughterhouse.
No, though. That's what I'm. My answer is, how do you know? Because there's animals all on the grass here. But what is it like in the slaughterhouse for the organic milk cows?
I just think they die naturally. The organic milk
No, they
cows.
don't. I know you'd like to. Come over here. Wait a second. I think we've done investigations into RSPCA assured dairy farms, and they're just as horrible as. Oh wait, it's not up on the screen now. But yeah, you like to think they actually are all slaughtered. All of them, all the milk cows, their calves are slaughtered. This is a sheep. Yeah, but the milk cows go to the same slaughterhouse as the beef cows, and the egg-laying hens go to the same slaughterhouse as the meat hens.
Yeah, no, it's horrible. I mean, I eat. I haven't eaten meat or fish, but
Which is
very,
and that's a good thing. But the people that do eat meat, they eat the meat that comes from the dairy cows that are slaughtered because of the milk that you buy. So if we don't eat meat for ethics, right, because we want to help the animals, which is a good thing to do, but when you drink milk, those cows go to the slaughterhouse because we.
What is that? Frozen or canned ackee? What is that? Never heard of it. Oh, really? You tried to make your own Just Egg? Switched over to tofu scramble. That glitch that always happens to me, that usually happens much later in the stream, just happened already. It's annoying.
We buy the milk, so someone else is eating those cows because they go to the
That's all right, though.
So it's
Doesn't
it's
affect me too bad.
hard to get as you get older to get the kind of amount of protein that you need from. You have to eat a lot of beans and lentils and tofu to have.
You already don't eat meat.
No, but I get a certain amount of. I mean, I make my own kefir, so
Okay.
so I need for your microbiome. It's really important
Kefir.
to have that different bacteria. And you can't make, you can make water kefir, but it doesn't have any.
What is it called? Water.
Kefir.
Yeah, what is it called? Water kefir.
Water kefir. You make
With water.
Yeah, you
And you need that. Why? Why do you need that? Oh, right. You don't.
make it with the sugar water, and then the bacteria and the yeast eat the sugar, and it has a
Yeah.
certain amount of probiotic in there, but nowhere near the amount of probiotics that milk kefir.
Hey, lady, you know what has a lot of probiotics in them? Plants. Right. You know what's good for your gut health? Plants. Not dairy. Kefir.
Has so. I use the milk to make kefir, and I make homemade yogurt with it as
Okay.
well. So
Yeah.
a natural live yogurt, because I can't find an alternative to give me that
What
kind
do you
of
need?
diversity.
What do you think you need? So can you make it with plant milk? Do you think?
No,
Oh, really?
because the bacteria and yeast feed off of the lactose in the milk, and that's what feeds it to make the kefir. So there isn't a way to. I mean, I have researched it.
So no sugar, the sugar in, you can't add sugar in it. Lactose is just the sugar, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't.
So that lactobacillus is the bacteria
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah,
So-
and about 50 different types of bacteria and yeast that are in a kefir. That it's really important for your
Yeah.
microbiome.
Can I ask you then? Can I ask you? Do you think that you getting those like bacteria for whatever health benefit you get out of it, like, do you think that outweighs like the cow having to be slaughtered in a slaughterhouse?
I think there has to be a certain, I don't like the idea, no, but I think I do my best in life to not eat meat and to do.
No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah. You don't eat meat, you say, although that's doubtful based on what you've been saying. But you insist that you need this dairy milk kefir for some reason, because you think you've been told by somebody that you need 50 types of bacteria in your gut from dairy instead of just eating nice, colorful plant foods that we know are good for us, that we knew were good for us when we were like 2 years old. Eat your spinach, eat your broccoli, eat your blueberries, eat your strawberries. Okay. Sprouted dehydrated beans, cooking them up. Nice, nice. Okay, so your story is done, Alicia. So at the end of this video, we will tell that tale.
Some, I would eat honey as well, because
Oh, I would eat.
I know vegans don't eat honey either. And,
Yeah, we don't. Yeah.
But then there's also, things like they eat a lot of avocado, and then they bring bees
Some do.
in.
Yeah.
A lot, but then they bring bees in to pollinate the avocado crops, and there's nothing. Once that crop is finished, there's nothing else growing in.
Where do
the area.
they get the bees from? Do you know?
They probably breed them. They probably breed
Yeah, but who breeds them? Do you think?
beekeepers.
Yeah, honey beekeepers.
Yeah.
So that's another reason to boycott honey, isn't it?
Yeah, but the
Without-
avocado. But then would you not eat avocados either, because they bring the bees in?
No, I don't really see I haven't really heard a good strong argument to boycott avocados yet, because
Well, the bees all die after the avocado harvest, and there's nothing else for them to feed on, because in the kind of
no, they don't
hundreds of
die.
miles.
Some die, but bees die when they pollinate in nature as well. They die of basically mites and things like that. But I'm saying like that they rent the bees from the honey industry, and then they allow the bees to go and pollinate, and they come back to the hives. Some die. Bees die out in nature all the time, but then they take those. Even this lady's talking about avocados. Just shows how far misinformation seeps into the public. Almonds and avocados. Since she's in the UK, it's probably Piers Morgan's doing. bees back to the honey industry to use them for the honey. So that industry actually exists because of the honey industry.
If otherwise you wouldn't have anything. You wouldn't have the bees to pollinate the avocados either. They need the.
But do you,
won't have
Okay.
in nature there aren't enough to pollinate the crops.
So,
yeah, but
in
I mean,
Indian house.
do you think because like avocados do that, right? Let's just say avocado. Let's say it's wrong. Let's just say you're right. It's bad to eat avocados.
so boycott
Do you think I should
avocados.
now eat meat because
If you
of
think
that?
it's bad to eat avocados, boycott avocados. Why is this complicated? You have a choice with what you want to buy, right? So if you think it's bad to eat avocados, but don't try to use avocados as a justification for your dairy kefir.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because like
I
if
think
there's
you just have to have a balance. You have to do, you have to do the best that you can as a human being, and you have to be comfortable with yourself for doing it. Not everyone's going to be perfect. You
no,
can't
of
be
course not.
perfect
I'm not.
all the
No,
time.
Okay, we got a riddle. This is a tough one here. What's up, UK Knight Rider? Hang on. By the way, guys, we're going to be doing dramatic retellings of your vegan stories. So if you have one that you want told in a way that makes it sound appropriately heroic, then drop it in the chat. I've got some from a community post I did the other day. We've got 3 from there. Long ones, too. Long ones. I haven't read them yet. They'll be fresh. But I saw that they were multiple paragraphs. Nil. Okay. Your riddle here. What's the difference between a garbanzo bean and a chickpea? Anybody know? I don't really know. Who's got that? Who's got the answer? No Googling.
no one's asking anyone to be perfect. All I'm asking is that if you avoid meat for ethics, which is good, and all those cows go to the slaughterhouse to be minced up into burgers and they don't want to die. For myself, even if I knew that it would take 10 years off of my life, I couldn't watch cows be slaughtered day in, day out, just so I could have yogurt. I just couldn't live like that. It would eat me up inside. But I think like if it was you on the other side of that, like the gun, and I said to you, well, I need your milk to make my bacteria, I don't think it would be good enough for you either. They're both just as bad as each other for the animal that's being slaughtered. So that's all.
But then there's also, humans in the world. Do you feel the same way about humans that have been
I do.
dying in,
Yeah, I do.
famine?
But I don't kill them for my milk. That's what I'm
Some
saying.
people, that are like, will go on all these marches for animals, yet they have no compassion. There are people I know that
Hang on a sec. We've talked about this before where people are saying, oh, you'll go on these marches for animals. What are you talking about? What marches for animals? There's like a few. The vast majority of people doing protests, demonstrations, they're doing it for human-related issues, not animals.
have got no compassion about, they're vegan and they're very.
In fact, I remember a Joey video where he was doing one of these. He was doing like a cube or a table. And then as he's doing it, like this massive march goes behind him. His big march for Palestine. So yeah.
Just people I know.
Yeah, because I'm in the vegan movement here. But I'm a very well-known vegan actually, and almost every vegan I've ever met against racism, against war, against humans being killed and raped and murdered, against human slavery, and they also just when they go to the shop they just don't buy milk.
But they don't.
Which is also why we use those arguments about racism, sexism, to point out the similarities between, looking at someone different because of their race, their skin color, their gender, their religion, whatever. Those are also arbitrary distinctions that we make, the same way we objectify animals.
Also be on the march for, the pro-Palestinians, the same people. I've got friends who are vegans and that.
Yeah, well, okay, but remember this Joey video that I'm talking about. Not that they should have stopped their protesting and whatever, but It isn't like they stopped protesting and saw Joey Carbstrong and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna do the vegan demonstration instead." No, that didn't happen. Of course
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
So
They don't care what happens to the Jews in that were slaughtered on October the 7th. They've got no compassion. They go, well, they were just Jews.
who says that?
I met people who were on
Oh.
this, and
I mean, that's a strong claim. I mean,
yeah, no,
I mean, they're-
I've spoken to them. I live in East London. I see.
and someone said they are just Jews.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, I've never seen that kind of anti-Semitism in the vegan movement. I mean,
And by the way, the vegan movement was sort of beset by a debate between like Palestine and Israel not long ago, which should tell you something. I mean, obviously she's not like in that world, but it should tell you that the vegan movement is diverse in its thinking.
see people being pro-Palestine, but that's because children are just being bombed en masse, like by like huge like planes flying over their head, and they have no voice because they're just being completely slaughtered by Israel constantly. And I've been to Israel twice, and there's a big vegan movement in Israel too. But I don't agree with what the IDF do. I don't agree with what the Israel government do. But I don't agree with
Vogon
anti-Semitism
poetry.
either. And I also don't buy milk where
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I've never had a garbanzo bean on my face before. Vogon Poetry says there's no difference between a chickpea and a garbanzo bean, except I've never paid $20 to have a garbanzo bean on me. My goodness. I don't even know what to say to that. This is a mature stream, and you will behave, Vogon and Nilf.
cows are being slaughtered. And I think you can be against oppression no matter who's doing it. So you can be against war crimes like October the 7th, but also recognize that there were war crimes before October the 7th that led to that, with kids being splattered by bombs their whole entire life. And you can see how bad things take place in war-torn areas, right? And at the same time, when you go to the store, buy soy milk over dairy milk without it even causing a sweat. You know, like this is like we're talking about a minimal thing. Like
going back to soy, you know, most of the soybeans have been genetically modified.
Most of those soy, the genetically modified.
Lady, stop looking for excuses. You already know this is wrong.
Soy in this country go to animal feed to like feed chickens, but we tend to eat more of the soy from like Europe, and it's more organic soy actually. Human, no, it is.
You don't know.
No, it is.
It gets mixed.
No, there's statistics on it.
If you read the thing on the oat milk and the soya milk and all these different milks, they're
not GM. They tend not to use GM soy for human consumption in this country and around in Europe. No, they don't. They don't.
I have to go anyway, but it's
All
not
right.
to talk.
I bless you. Thank you. Yeah, so what I found with this woman was that she started to go searching. She started to go searching for different things like avocados, GM soy, October 7th, which no one's actually ever brought that up to me in a vegan discussion before. But all to kind of take away accountability for buying milk that causes dairy cows to be slaughtered in a slaughterhouse. A good faith person who's actually honest would actually just say, I know that's really bad they're slaughtered. I don't actually care enough to change that fact. I don't actually care enough to buy soy milk over cow's milk because I don't think their lives actually matter as much as getting a certain bacteria. Someone who actually has compassion would just simply extend their compassion for the animals killed, slaughtered for meat, to the animals slaughtered for her organic dairy, right? I found that she spent more time trying to justify her behavior by searching for things that are also bad to try to say to me the kind of thing like, you're kind of a hypocrite if you eat avocados, or you're kind of a hypocrite if you support Palestine or whatever, and therefore I'm okay to kill cows for dairy because you do something bad too.
All right, well, I sent the link in the chat to that video. Go give Joey Carbstrong some love and give him the Jeremy bump. He needs it, you know, he needs that bump. All right. Alicia has graced us with her vegan tale. And we're going to give it the dramatic reading that it deserves. Let's see if this one. Let's see if this is appropriate. By the way, guys, help me out with the volume, because first time I did this, it was too loud. Second time I did it, it was way too quiet. It's like you couldn't hear it. It's like you have to wear headphones to be able to hear them. There's like a cutout problem. There's a problem where my StreamYard doesn't seem to handle two things of audio at the same time very well. And we've got to hear it with the music. Is that I don't needs epic motivational hip hop.
It got stuck in the branch that it was growing on, and then
Too loud, lady. Yes. Yes. How's this hip hop? This is not hip hop. Okay, it'll turn hip hop at some point. What video? What video you got? Oh no, we gotta wait for you. We need Alicia here for her dramatic retelling. What's up, lurker? If I can be vegan, what's your excuse? Indeed. All right, guys, give me your vegan stories while you're here if you want to get them told. Let's just go ahead and do Alicia's, and we'll tell her if she's not in the chat to back, scroll back so that she can get her reading. Let's see. Is she there? Wait, hang on. I have to go back and forth. Yeah. I don't think oh, you're here. Okay, good. All right. I'm going to try to add to it as well. Here we go. There we go. Hang on. I need the post. For about 6 months, Alicia felt pulled to veganism. She'd been vegan for 9 months, about 7 years ago, but ill health and generally feeling crappy set in, and she was open to change. That was then. That was a long time ago. She didn't know. She didn't know to eat enough calories. That's the problem. Alicia didn't know. Enter in Light Occult Revival, otherwise known as Ali Fouche. She had a Mark Passio video on her YouTube channel that spoke about sentient beings, and boom! It clicked. It clicked just like that, listening to Mark Passio. Within 1 week, I stopped animal products and haven't looked back. To transition, I did a 2-week water fast and a 4.5-month juice feast, which meant that all my food addictions were gone. Plant food is delicious, and I'm loving it. How's the thing go? How's the McDonald's thing? That was a little shorter. I know it wasn't amazing. To recap, Alicia had been plant-based back in the day, but she didn't have the animal ethics yet. It wasn't until Ali Foosh, Light Occult Revival, shout out, go sub to her channel, put Mark Passio on. And apparently Mark Passio has turned a lot of people vegan. So if you haven't followed Mark Passio or Light Occult Revival, do so now. Because you could be next. You could be the next vegan superhero. And if you're one of those people lurking in this channel right now that hasn't made that switch, well, just take it from Alicia. Plant food is amazing, and it tastes great. It's delicious, and she's loving it. I give that about a 4. That wasn't great. For me, my retelling, I mean. My retelling.
Love wellness. Getting your daily dose of nutrients doesn't have to be messy.
Good job, Alicia. All right. So you guys drop your stories, you know? Drop your stories.
Too.
Yeah. What do you think that plants feel?
Pain too, if like you were able to like cut the stems and stuff.
Let's help out this small channel, Earthling Ed. He's an up-and-comer. We'll give him the Jeremy bump.
So do you think that with that being said, morally speaking, you know, cutting a stem or cutting the stalk of a broccoli or something is comparable to, you know, cutting the throat of a pig or a cow? Is that morally the same, or is there a difference?
I think it's morally the same.
Hey everyone, just before we get into the debate, I want to tell you about the partner
wasn't
of
very
today's
good.
video, which is Complement, and their incredible range of different vegan products. In particular, I want to highlight Complement Essential, which is a sport and what's a packaging Complement offer per Complement week.
LA, we've got
hand.
Hi Raphael, it's
That's how I gotta start my stream, you know? This stream is brought to you by Sea Point Farms dry roasted edamame. 14 grams of protein times 3.5 is in this bag. Whatever 14 times 3.5 is, that's what's in this bag of protein. Add to that the 0 grams of protein in my Waterloo, and you've got yourself a complete meal. Thank you for today's video sponsor.
a pleasure to meet you. My name is Ed. Today I'm at UCLA with a banner that says, "Give me your best argument for not being vegan." You very kindly sat down, and so I'm interested. What is your response to that banner?
So when you say like best argument for not being vegan, you're saying like everyone should be vegan?
Well, I appreciate that not everyone in the world can be vegan, but my strong suspicion is that the vast majority of people who sit down to speak with me can be. So it's more about your personal response to that, like why
Everybody can be vegan.
You're not vegan.
Okay, so personally,
Everybody can be vegan. Every single person on the planet can be vegan.
I lift, so like workout and stuff.
Yeah.
And when it comes to protein, it's a lot easier to get protein from meat than vegan proteins because they just don't contain as much protein.
Right. Can you get protein from a plant-based diet?
Yeah.
And when you say that you lift, how much protein are you looking to get each day?
About 1.2 grams per body weight.
Sure. And so when we think about, like, dense protein sources, obviously we think of things like steak, chicken maybe comes to mind, a lot of animal products. But actually, when you look at plant-based products as well, they're filled with protein. You can get protein like tofu, tempeh, legumes, whole grains, chickpeas, those kinds of foods are also good sources of protein. So you can definitely get enough protein on a plant-based diet, even if you lift. It's just sometimes about, doing a little bit of research to see, which protein sources you should rely on and where you should get the protein that you need. So, it just takes a little bit of time to research that. But do you think it would be possible?
I definitely think it is a consideration to take.
Yeah.
But
Thank you, Ken. 49 grams.
Usually, plant-based proteins and other plant-based products are more expensive than like actual meat.
Can vary.
$2.50.
Can't it? You're not wrong in the sense of there are definitely some that are more expensive. You go into a Whole Foods and you buy like Impossible Burgers, or Beyond Meat Burgers, that's going to cost more than going to Smart and Final or something and buying chicken breast. That can be the case, absolutely. But you can also eat vegan on a budget. And a lot of
How many of these people who talk about vegan food being so expensive were just like eating a steak? We were talking about Charlie Kirk the other day. He said, "Oh, you have to admit that vegan food is so expensive." And in that same debate that he had with Michael Bilotek, he said, "Yeah, I plan to eat a steak tonight." Okay, yeah.
Like the healthiest foods are also the most inexpensive foods. I'm thinking like whole grains, legumes, beans, chickpeas, that kind of thing. So you can be a vegan who spends a lot of money, undeniably, but you can also be a vegan who lives on a budget. And also a lot of those budget foods just tend to be the healthiest foods because we're talking about whole plant foods as well.
Yeah, I guess for me, like the same argument, like if I am trying to bulk and stuff and I need to eat a lot of calories and stuff, like you probably won't make progress toward your goals. It's not like it will take more time.
Are you trying to bulk? Because a lot of these guys, and I'm not throwing shade, the guy looks fine, but a lot of the guys talking about bulking and getting big aren't that big.
Like you'll probably just not as much.
I mean, you probably eaten meat your whole life, right? So shouldn't you be like rippling with muscle?
Not make any progress at all.
So people on plant-based diets who eat whole foods rather than substitutes are unable to.
Oh, that's not true.
Okay. Okay.
It's just, I think it's just a lot harder for like me specifically.
But even
For
if that is
you specifically, you at UCLA, yeah, it's tough. It's tough, going to one of the elite schools in America, in one of the most vegan-friendly cities in the world. Yeah, it's really tough for you specifically to be vegan. Right. Someone put out their list, like we always get these lists on social media of like the top 10 vegan cities. I think LA was like number 2, number 3.
case, I'm going to take it on face value and say it's harder for you. Even if that is the case, do you think that it's right that others should suffer to make that transition to the body you want easier?
Well, when I think of like, when you say others,
Yeah.
like my first mind,
40 to 60.
my first thought goes
You're
to like
probably
actual
right,
people.
Alicia.
Yeah, humans, right?
But I don't know. I think animals is just,
Do they
I don't know.
suffer?
Of course they suffer, yeah. And I think I just don't, like, I don't really care as much that they suffer.
Yeah.
Because I'm not seeing it firsthand. I'm not there, so I don't know what's actually going on.
No.
And although I've seen like,
Okay, good, honest response right there. So maybe this is going to go well. But we're going to get on to plants. Should mowing the lawn be illegal? So this is going to take a downturn. It's going to veer off course.
like videos over there, like actually butchered and killed and all that. That's still like through the screen. I haven't like I think it'd probably have a more drastic effect if I saw it in person.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think that always is the case. But also, I suppose humans, one of the things that was good is that we have the ability to intellectually understand something as well. And so whilst we may have never seen a cow or a pig or any animal being butchered in front of us, we still logically know that what happens to these animals causes them suffering and obviously takes their life from them. So whilst we may not be able to emotionally connect in the way that we would be if it was happening in front of us, intellectually that recognition, we still have that recognition that their suffering exists. So do you acknowledge that when you buy these animal products, that is the reality of what you're supporting?
Yeah, but isn't there also like statistics behind like meat that goes to waste? So like wouldn't like me consuming meat help like the waste going away?
Well, the
Think about it. Think.
thing is, when we buy these products, like we are demanding that more be supplied. And so by buying them, we're not reducing food waste because we're incentivizing that those products be replaced. Now, if everyone stopped buying them over a period of time, they would stop being produced, obviously. So, and for every time you buy, a piece of steak, you can make the argument that by not buying the block of tofu or the tin of chickpeas, you're saying that food should go to waste. We always prioritize some food over another type of food because we cannot only ever eat so much, right? So
But the reason why we're on this is because just like the last lady with Joey, we're in search mode. We're in search mode. Instead of just do the right thing, we're searching and grasping in a feudal fashion for the last excuse.
Doing that, we could fall into the same trap as saying, well, that food will go to waste. So I would say just buy the plant-based foods instead. And then hopefully over time, if enough people do it, the animal-based foods would stop being produced in the first place. And then none of it would go to waste because it won't be produced. That's what I would think anyway.
I think, would you say like any plants or anything have life? Like they get hurt?
The Passio video? Hang on. Hang on. Let me mod you. Hang on. The glitch is. Did you? It got deleted. Let me mod you so you can do links. You should be able to do links now, Alicia.
You know, they feel pain.
I think that they're alive. I mean, undeniably they're alive, but I don't think they have the capacity to have a subjective, conscious experience, an awareness of what is happening to them, if you like.
Oh, why do you think that?
Well, I mean, you've got to think about the capacity to experience for a couple of reasons. You know, first, there's kind of like a biological function that creates that capacity.
What's up, Jeffrey? How are you doing? Lawns are stupid. Imagine if we redefine their purpose and utilize that wasted space with growing fruits and veggies. That'd be nice. Alicia says people are habituated to eat meat because their parents trained them to eat it. Imagine if we redefine, wait, it wasn't their decision when they were kids.
But also there's kind of like an evolutionary purpose behind that capacity. You know, for humans, we feel pain because we have brain, central nervous system. So when something happens, our nerves send signals to our brains, then we feel pain. Animals have that, you know, the animals who we kill at least have that same kind of basic structure, you know, a heart, a brain, a central nervous system, the capacity for signals to be sent from an area where the pain has been suffered to the brain, so they recognize that. And then also there's the evolutionary purpose behind it. You know, we feel pain so we can evade danger, so we can learn to avoid certain things. You know, we learn that fire is hot, causes pain, so we don't put our hand in the fire. Yeah. But if, you know, a human, and this is true, humans who aren't born with the ability to feel pain have lower life expectancies because they're less, or they're more likely to take risks, less likely to look after themselves in the same way that you would because of the fear of pain that we would have. Yeah. And so actually it says very important evolutionary purpose, which is the preservation of life. But for the plants here being dried out by the sun, for example, there's no preservation of life that can be felt through what would presumably be excruciating pain of being dried out by the sun. So, and they also don't have the biological functions either.
Got a donation. Thank you so much for the donation. Let me read it. I haven't set it up, my donations. I have to use Streamlab to have it pop up on the screen. So sorry, I have to just read them right now. Demon Cunt, great name. Demon Cunt tip $3. Why is eating meat bad? If it's not factory farmed and sourced ethically, what is the moral issue? The issue is exploiting animals, Demon Cunt. If you were, you know, let's say that you were raised in a way in which you would deem ethically, right? Like, let's say you were out there in a field with all your friends, and then one day someone just drove by, the person that you trusted put you in a truck, sent you into a place called a slaughterhouse and had your throat slit. You would probably think that was wrong. Well, that's why eating meat is bad. Thanks for the donation. Appreciate it.
Really, that we would think of as creating that sensation.
Yeah. So, like you're saying, plants don't have like feelings. They can't like feel pain and all that.
Yeah. Not subjective experiences.
And you were saying that because like through evolution, they haven't like
so much purpose, you know, in the same way that for us it has that evolutionary purpose, and also it's like a biological thing. You know, they don't have brains, they don't have the capacity to you know, what we would perceive as being the capacity to have subjective experiences seems somewhat lacking in that of a cucumber or a kale or whatever it might be.
Yeah, my super chat thing doesn't really exist because I'm not monetized, so I just have to provide a link, and that's Streamlabs. If you wanted to donate via Venmo, you could use that. There's a link to that on my channel page as well. Venmo's great. So that would be maybe easier. I don't know. I have to read them manually, unfortunately. I have to read them myself. They don't pop up on the screen. Sorry, y'all. What's up, Dennis?
Might be.
There's also plants that like have gone through evolutionary phases that give them like an advantage to survive, like cactus. You know, they grow needles, so that I would say is a response in like it's trying to survive and like it's trying to defend itself. So I would argue that like plants do have feelings and stuff too.
Yeah. What do you think that plants feel?
Pain too, if like you were able to like cut the stems and stuff.
So do you think that with that being said, morally speaking, you know, cutting a stem.
Demon Cunt tipped again. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. She says, I assume this is a woman. I don't know. She says that's not necessarily the only way to eat an animal, i.e. slitting their throat. Yeah, there's also gas chambers. We put pigs in gas chambers. You know, we bolt gun cows in the head. Most of the animals are going to have their throat slit eventually. But Demon says it would be wrong for humans because they are rational beings and are a part of a moral contract with moral duties to... If there was more to that, I don't see it. But yeah, well, animals are sentient, as we're seeing in this video. And so they can also make rational decisions, and whether or not they can make rational decisions, I don't believe justifies killing you. Like say you can't make a rational decision, like you're learning disabled or something, that wouldn't justify me coming and killing you, would it? I don't think so.
Or cutting the stalk of a broccoli or something is comparable to, you know, cutting the throat of a pig or a cow. Is that morally the same, or is there a difference?
I think it's morally the same because you got to take, okay, so like, I think it's more morally acceptable to kill like cows and chickens than compared to animals that don't really make noises when they're killed. Like I've seen a couple of videos of like crabs being killed, and usually people are more like open to that because there's no like visual, I mean like auditory like pain. Maybe you can see like a little bit of
it's because they're so different from us. That's why. The further away from looking like a human, the easier it is for us to kill them without feeling any kind of way.
Visual pain because they're like moving around. But for plants, I would say that's like the same thing. There's no like auditory or visual pain, but there's probably still some type of pain.
Yeah. And how have you come to that conclusion?
Just through evolution, if a plant wants to survive, so like this want to survive is shown through its adaptations in evolution. Like I brought the example of a cactus, so like bringing out spikes. So like why?
So by the way, I know most of y'all here know this, but apparently some people in the chat aren't vegan. So let's say plants could feel pain. Then that would be even more reason to be vegan, because you kill less plants by being vegan, since to raise all the animals that we eat, we have to grow the plants to feed them. So we grow about, we raise about 100 billion land animals every year. All of them have to be fed and given water. So we grow that amount of crops to give to the animals that we could just eat ourselves. Instead, we feed them to the animals. So that's a lot more plant death because we eat animals. And no matter how many times you tell this to someone, it's like there's a blocker. They can't take that information in. But there we are.
I wouldn't, or why would it bring out spikes if it didn't have like pain receptors, like a motive to survive?
Well,
but just to be clear, plants do not feel pain, obviously.
Our body. So obviously we are sentient individuals. But within our body, we have a very complex system of, cells, and certain cells, we have like white blood cells, we have T cells, we release antibodies, and these cells fight to protect themselves and fight to protect us, and they will attack other cells, attack parasites, invaders, bacterial infections. They do that, and they have certain ways of doing that, certain defense systems, certain attacking systems. But we wouldn't say that just because they have those systems or that structure there, that in and of itself means that our cells have the capacity to experience pain. I mean, we certainly hope they don't, considering the amount of carnage that happens in our bodies every day. So I guess it's more about thinking about the biological functions that create that experience, and ultimately the purpose behind that experience and what it means. But to bring it back to what you were saying about there not being morally different.
That's a really good point. Let me read it. Anyone who thinks they have the right to enslave another when there's no reason to isn't what I would consider a rational being. I'm sure the Nazis thought they were being rational when they deemed anyone not part of the master race inferior. What's up, Light Occult Revival? Nice to see you. That's Ali. Ali is one of the reasons why Alicia is vegan, if not the main reason. If not the main reason. Sorry, I have so many tabs up now. It takes me some time.
I just want to clarify that's what you said, that there isn't morally a difference between harming a pig and harming a plant.
Yeah.
That's the same. Yeah. So do you think that we shouldn't have animal welfare laws then?
Can you state some of the animal welfare?
Okay, we got another donation. Thank you so much for the donation. Demon Cunt is a guy. Okay, you're a guy. Sentience does not equal rationality, according to Demon Cunt is a guy. There is no animal on Earth that is rational, especially in the same way humans are. Plants, technically being sentient, can't be rational. That's why you justify eating them. They're not. So plants aren't sentient. Animals are rational. They make rational decisions all the time. Anybody that's ever had a pet, right? Like a dog or a cat, knows that dogs and cats make rational decisions. Like, for instance, okay, so if you're eating at the dinner table, right? And the dog comes up to you and puts his head against your lap, that's a rational decision. They know that maybe they'll get some food from that. That's thinking rationally. I don't understand why you can't. Are you thinking rationally, Demon Cunt? Because maybe not. And again, let's pretend, right? Let's pretend that there are humans, and there are humans that can't think rationally. Do you think it's okay to kill them? Yes or no?
Yeah. So, for example, if a dog was walking past us now, and one of the people here was to attack that dog, kick them, punch them, that would be illegal. That'd be classified as animal cruelty. Yeah. Do you think that should be illegal, or do you think that should be acceptable?
They're just kicking the dog for no purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's illegal.
And so would you say then that's morally, if that should be illegal, should mowing the lawn or cutting the grass, should that also be illegal if morally there's no difference between harming an animal or harming a plant?
I think mowing a lawn has more purpose than kicking a dog. Kicking a dog, you're just kicking a dog to kick a dog.
What's the purpose of mowing the lawn?
So it doesn't look so it's cleaner, your yard's cleaner.
Okay, but do you think that cleanliness of a yard is a good enough justification to cause so much harm?
I think
Nice. It's thanks to Alicia that you know that I'm live. Well, thank you, Ali. I appreciate it. And Alicia.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I just learned something. We've got Ali. We've got Alicia. Alicia is just Ali plus the CIA. Oh my God.
I don't think I can't see them, I can't hear them, feel pain. Yeah. I'm just gonna do it.
Well, welcome to the CIA.
Exactly. But that might be true, but morally, or I guess legally, if it's illegal to do this to a dog, and morally harming an animal is the same as harming a plant, then surely it should be illegal to mow the lawn because that's causing harm to the plants, right?
Yeah, but like illegally doesn't mean like morally right or not. So
Certainly not.
Got another donation. Boy, this is lucrative. Very poor definition of rational, according to Demon Kant. Acting on instinct does not equal rationality. Well, yeah, it does, because you need to make rational choices about how to get the food, right? They have no abstract reasoning, no reflective thought. Yes, they do have reflective thought. That's how you know, animals can be trained. That's called reflective thought. And no, because humans are a part of a moral contract with each other, as I said. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for your input there, Demon Con. That's very helpful.
like although it's illegal to like kick a dog and stuff, and it wouldn't be illegal to kick. I mean, like to mow your lawn.
Yeah.
I think it's just because humans are more like they wouldn't really care if you can't like hear or like see the pain.
Yeah.
It's just,
Do you think it should be illegal to mow the lawn then?
I think it's up, I don't know. It's up to the like general population.
Well, what do you think?
Illegal to cut the lawn? No.
But why?
You can't see the pain. You can't hear the
But
pain.
you think
and
it exists?
Yeah.
So
Wait. He says it's okay to mow your lawn because you can't see the pain. So by that logic, then should the slaughterhouses be illegal since you can see the pain, you can hear the pain?
Just because we can't see it doesn't mean it is not relevant then if you think it exists.
Well, like I'm definitely like, let's say plants actually do have feelings and all that and feel pain. I wouldn't really care.
No,
I would not care.
no, okay. So with that in mind, though, why do you care about the dog? Like, why would that be? Or do you think that should be legal?
Because I think we get like as humans we get more of a emotional response because like we've attributed like emotions to dogs and stuff.
Yes. But do
So
you think they do have emotions?
dogs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But just before we move past that point, just if you don't care about plants feeling pain, you don't care about that, and you think that morally harming plants is the same as harming a dog, then while some people may have different feelings about dogs, I'm interested in what you think. So with that in mind, do you think that it should be legal to beat a dog or to harm a dog? Do you think that should be something that's acceptable if you don't really care about plants, but morally it's the same?
Can you ask that question again?
I'll reword it. We're talking about plants and animals, obviously, and your position is that morally it's the same. Cutting the lawn is morally the same as cutting a pig's throat, morally the same as beating a dog, because morally it's all the same to cause harm to these different species. You kind of said it shouldn't be illegal to mow the lawn. That isn't something that should be illegal. But when we spoke about harming the dog, you said it should be illegal. And I'm wondering why you think that should be illegal, but mowing the lawn should be okay and continue to be legal if morally it's the same and you don't care. Why do you think it should be illegal then?
Morally the same.
Yeah.
Another donation. Rationality requires the ability to use reason beyond instinct. Is a lion killing a gazelle making a moral choice, or is it just hungry? Well, you said rational choice, not moral choice. So you said rationality requires the ability to use reason beyond instinct. Is a lion killing a gazelle making a moral choice? It is a rational choice to eat. That's rational. Is it not? Do you not understand what rational means? Do you mind looking it up for me? But I noticed you used moral choice instead of rational choice, and that's probably telling, and that's probably why you used that word there instead of is killing a gazelle a rational choice for a lion, which obviously it is a rational choice.
Why do you think, fundamentally, why do you think that beating a dog should be considered illegal?
It's just, I don't know, like what I said, like humans emotional response to
Why
dogs.
do you think that? Because you're not blinded by that. You understand that it's different with plants. So
Am I crazy, y'all? Like, do I just not understand what rational means?
Or the same with plants. So outside of what other people think, I'm more interested in what you think.
And moreover, does it matter? Like, does that ultimately matter? Because apparently it didn't, because you said it wouldn't be okay for us to kill a human who couldn't make a rational choice. So apparently making rational choices doesn't matter. That's not the trait, is it? What's the trait? Apparently the trait is the moral contract. Right. Yeah, well, you can make a moral contract with anyone. Like, we can make a moral contract with the animals that you're eating. That's what this is. That's the whole point.
Why I consider one to be legal, one not, if
Why do you think one should
morally the same?
Yeah.
Just because I can't hear it, I can't, like, same argument, I just can't hear it, see it. Yeah.
But that point aside, you believe that it exists. So let's take it for me, right? I can't hear a fish scream. Okay, that doesn't exist in my reality. I can't hear that. But I don't think that means that morally killing a fish is preferable. I think that killing a fish, killing a tuna fish and killing a chicken are very similar actions, even though a chicken can express themselves in a way. So I can see beyond that, and I'm thinking with yourself, whilst you may not hear what the grass is going through, if you believe that it exists, then why is it that you have that kind of contradictory attitude between what should be legal and illegal? Why is it that harming the dog should be illegal, or potentially maybe you think it shouldn't be illegal and people should be able to harm dogs and not face any repercussions as a consequence?
I think you just have to take, like, because we still need, like, plants and stuff for, like, I don't know, this bench and stuff. Like, we still want that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just not.
All right. Another donation. Thank you for donating, Demon Kun. I appreciate it. To make a moral choice, you have to be rational. It's not being rational if it, as you say, is acting upon instinct, and you can't make a contract with animals because they aren't rational. Do you get it, bro? LOL. Yeah, I get it. I think you don't get it, Demon Cunt. I think you're misunderstanding the point of all this. Like, you understand you're in a vegan channel, right? Like, the whole point of this is we're trying to build a world where we do have this moral contract with animals, where we don't kill them, kind of like how this guy and Ed are talking about dogs right now. We have a moral contract with dogs, don't we? Apparently we do. That's why it's illegal to kill dogs in America. Now they do it in China, which just goes to show we are this like supremacist being that picks and chooses who we choose to have a moral contract with. So you're choosing the supremacist mindset. We're choosing the kindness mindset. And that's basically what this boils down to. But thank you for the donation.
No, like, for me, I just don't see it as much of a problem than, like, hurting a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I also don't see it as much as a problem, which is what leads me to veganism, because I don't think that harming plants is as much of a problem as harming animals. And even that point aside, more plants are used in the production of animal products than plant products, because obviously animals consume plants, right? So when you think about the amount of plants going into an animal versus the amount of meat we get out, there's a considerably higher volume of plants going in than meat coming out. So actually, we can reduce the amount of plants being consumed by being vegan, because we're cutting out the middleman, if you like, and making it more efficient. So even if
reject, don't tell me facts, Ed. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Don't tell me that the argument that I was using was actually an argument to be vegan. Oh, God.
we did believe that plants were morally the same as non-human animals, I would still then make the argument that veganism is preferable, because overall, it doesn't just eliminate the animals, but it also greatly reduces plants being used as well in the production of food. So with that, I mean, does that sound reasonable, fair?
You're saying, like, if, like, we ate, like, just plants, like, the animals wouldn't have to die?
Yeah.
And it'd just be, like, the plants were
Yeah, but also less plants would be consumed overall, because you think about how much a cow or a pig or even a chicken, to get the meat out at the end, the volume of plants going into the animal versus what we get out at the end is not proportionate, obviously, right? Because So overall, even if we believe that morally plants and animals are the same, that would still lead us to the vegan conclusion, because less plants are also being harmed overall. Does that make sense?
Yes. Say. Yeah, I would just go back to like when it comes to like bodybuilding.
Yeah.
I just find it a lot harder to either gain weight on a vegan diet or like get as much protein. So I think although it would take more plants to get into like a cow,
Yeah.
I prefer to eat that because it's easier for me.
Yeah.
And I guess I just don't value the moral implications as much as I do for like the convenience of me eating the protein and calories.
Yes. So, I mean, yeah, I understand how you've got there. So, from your perspective, then, your convenience is worth more than the harm caused to animals and plants.
Yes. Yes.
Have you ever tried doing it on a plant-based diet?
No, my girlfriend, she's vegan.
Oh, no way. Really?
Yeah, but I don't know if I made her vegetarian, but she's vegetarian now.
Oh, no.
Oh, what the fuck? So this guy has the power to turn a vegan into a vegetarian. Okay. All right. Well, she wasn't a vegan then. That's one thing. So yeah, she just wasn't vegan. She was plant-based, perhaps. Oh man.
Yeah.
And how did you do that?
We just went out and ate a lot.
We just went out and ate a lot, and she was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna eat dairy now." Sounds like a vegan. That's what vegans do. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I influenced them that much. I think she also started getting into weightlifting, and then she saw like it'd be easier to eat eggs and stuff, and that's what she goes to.
So it's similar.
What is with these people who are just like so weak that they have to eat eggs to get a protein, like their protein? Like, and again, there's nothing wrong with how this guy looks. Nothing at all. Nothing wrong with how he looks. But he's not jacked. I mean, like, come on. Pretty sure you could easily get these results on a plant-based diet and probably do a lot better.
Story of, I guess, valuing convenience and potential ease over the lives of others. Let's say there was another thing, because I guess with this, it's interesting to kind of like see how far this logic goes. Is there anything that it would be wrong to do to an animal for your convenience?
New donation. Demon Cunnits, tip 218. Would you be in favor of killing all carnivorous animals? If that would cause less harm to the prey animals, I would.
And ease. Let's take out of the equation what we do to animals right now, and let's say that to make your bodybuilding easier.
Let me ask you a question. Would you be in favor of killing Nazis to stop them from killing Jews? So answer that question for me.
Theoretical. You could have sex with an animal, and that would make it easier and more.
And then after you answer that question, then tell me what's the morally significant difference between the Nazis killing Jews and the animals killing other animals?
Convenient. Would you do that as well?
For bodybuilding?
Yeah.
Having sex with an animal?
Yeah, let's just say theoretically it released a hormone that allowed you to build muscles easier or quicker. Would you then do that to also make it easier and more convenient?
No, I would not do that.
Why not?
I wouldn't want to have sex with an animal.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why not?
That's not appealing.
No?
No, it's not appealing.
It's not appealing. Yeah. Would there be a reason for the animal that you wouldn't do that, or is it strictly just because you don't find it appealing?
Is there a reason for the animal?
Yeah, like, is it immoral to do that to an animal, to tie them down and have sex with them? Would that be immoral?
Like whipping them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
Because to an animal, like for me, like if you're gonna like an animal, they're definitely like gonna feel pain or something.
Yeah.
So I think that pain just makes it a lot harder to do that. And I'm like, yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah.
I
So
mean,
in
I
other
agree. I
words,
also think it's immoral. But if it's immoral to
in other words, it's just based for this guy. It's just based on what's comfortable for them.
an animal, why is it not immoral to unnecessarily kill them?
Well, again, like I'm not seeing them, I'm not hearing their pain.
But it
I
exists.
And it surprises me that people, like when they say, I'm not seeing them, I'm not hearing them, they don't think to themselves, like, why am I not seeing that? Why don't I hear that? And they don't get a little more angry that it's hidden from them, hidden away in these secretive places with barbed wire, where you can't get in, right? And they even pass laws called ag-gag laws, where if somebody actually tries to secretly film what's going on in these places, they get arrested, they get charged, and they get stiffer penalties. So why doesn't that bother more people?
yeah, but like I think maybe if I were exposed to all that stuff, I'd have more consideration and like in my diet and stuff. But in terms of convenience, I'd rather not see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, you'd rather not. Yeah. Who wouldn't rather not see terrible things?
I'd rather not see that. Did he mean I'd rather not see that? Not see. Yeah, you not.
Right. So
No,
it's
not
much
see-
easier to
not see
turn a
that.
blind eye to
Not-
things when we're not given a reason to confront them. But I suppose the acknowledgement should still exist, at least, that even if we turn a blind eye to something, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I mean, people can turn a blind eye to our suffering when we're suffering. People can turn a blind eye to anything. We can turn a blind eye to all of the horrible things that happen in the world, but that doesn't mean that they no longer exist. So do you think it's a good idea to turn a blind eye to the suffering of others?
Others in terms of humans, or
both humans and animals.
I think humans are mostly concerned with like humans' survival. So I wouldn't turn a blind eye to humans because, like, as a species, we're trying to survive.
Yeah. But obviously, you acknowledging the suffering of someone else in the world.
Yeah, but animal agriculture is killing us. So by that logic, you're helping us to destroy ourselves. Ed doesn't have time to get into all that, but it might have been good to bring up.
Doesn't mean that you survive longer, or it doesn't mean that our species survives longer. So actually, in terms of survival, the reason we don't turn a blind eye isn't because of human survival. It's probably because of something a little bit more, wholesome, perhaps. Empathy. Would you agree with that?
Empathy?
Is that the reason we don't? Because I would say that when we see someone suffering, our first thought isn't, oh, we need to preserve the longevity of our species. Our first thought is, oh, I can empathize that individual is suffering, and that's why I shouldn't turn a blind eye.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And I just think it's the same with non-human animals. We can empathize with them. Sure, it's harder to empathize with them because they're not like us. They don't vocalize in the way that we do. They don't act like we do. So it's harder to empathize with them. But we can empathize with them nonetheless. We can still understand their experience. We can still resonate what it is they're enduring. And so, in the same way with a human, look, we obviously.
Demon Cunt tip 218. Carnivorous animals kill out of necessity. The Nazis didn't. Nazis were murderers, whereas an animal can't be. Your same logic you just used literally could be used to justify genocides. Okay, well, all right. Break it down then. Okay. Think about it this way. Let's just take two animals, right? And two animals right in front of you. All right. Since this is a struggle for you. So one animal is going to kill another animal, right? And you have the power to stop that animal, right? So it's right in front of you again, but you can stop it, or you can watch one animal just kill and eat another animal. What's your choice?
Value our own species, and probably would value.
And before you answer that, if your answer is that you'd rather watch the one animal kill the other animal, then answer me again. Would you choose to watch a Nazi kill a Jew right in front of you? And what's the difference? Again, necessity, okay, whatever. Maybe the Nazi thinks it's a necessity to kill the Jew, right?
Our own species be above that of other animals in the situation of necessity. But the reason we see a human suffering, and want to intervene or help them is because we can empathize with them. I think it's the same with animals. You know, we can turn a blind eye, of course, but that doesn't alleviate their suffering when we can empathize with it and fundamentally, you know, reduce it and stop it in many cases as well.
I guess like
yeah. And by the way, if you're saying that it's wrong to kill carnivorous animals, then why is it okay for you to kill animals that you don't need to kill? You just brought up necessity, right? So if it's an absolute necessity for a lion to kill a gazelle, and then that makes it okay, but it's not a necessity for you to go and buy pork at the grocery store, then why is that okay? So your logic falls apart. You know, it just doesn't add up. Think about when you ask me these questions, have you done the thinking about them yourself? That's what you should be asking instead of just grasping at straws, trying to find where's the hole in the vegan argument that I can exploit to justify my own cruelty. Instead, do the thinking yourself, play it out in your own head first, then donate to Jeremy.
I still like empathize to a certain
Thank
degree
you for your donation, by the way.
with like plants and like animals getting killed, but it's not to the extent that I'd want to do something about it.
Yeah, not to the extent. So you thanks so much, Hudson. We'll wrap up in just a minute then, because I know you've been here a little while, and I appreciate that. So you empathize with them, but not enough to not kill them. So how far does your empathy go for them then?
For animals and like plants. Okay. I guess if like I had like cows and stuff, and like I saw they're getting killed and stuff, I'd empathize to the point of trying to prevent them from being killed.
Yeah. Well, what's the difference? Because obviously, when we're talking about the killing, what's relevant is the experience of the individual who's been killed. You know, whether or not we form some type of connection with the animal.
This guy, by the way, like, I know he's grasping, he's clutching at straws, but he's at least having he's going through it. He seems to be pretty honest. It seems productive to me. I don't know.
Doesn't change the fact that even without that connection, the experience that the animal's going through is exactly the same. So if we would try and stop it when we have, you know, some form of connection with the animal, shouldn't we try and stop it even if we don't have that connection? Because morally, it's the same. The only difference is whether or not we have a connection, but an animal's worth of life is above that of just the connection that we personally have with them. So shouldn't we try and stop it anyway?
I mean, it'd be nice, like ideally, to stop it. But like you have to have like enough people to care that much to stop it, and I guess like the general population probably wouldn't, because they don't see this like firsthand.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head in a way, haven't you? It's the struggle that, you know, obviously myself and other people who are vegan have is getting people to care about it, you know, and it's not like you have to care, you know, with all of your life and all of your energy. You just have to care enough to not buy the things that cause this unnecessary harm. And it's just about getting people to care that much. But, you know, fundamentally, I think that people do already care. I think they care in the ways that are important. It's just, as you say, because it's out of sight and out of mind, because we're raised in an environment where it's normalized so much, we don't ever really question it. But I think fundamentally, most people do have the values that mean that veganism becomes that logical extension. And I guess what I mean by that is we've already determined that there is some.
You might even call it a rational decision.
Things that it's wrong to do to an animal, you know, them, for example, or no, or just needlessly beat them on the street. And part of the reason why, and I think, or maybe wholly the reason why we have realized that that's immoral, is because it causes suffering to that animal. You know, kind of a needless suffering, something that doesn't have to exist. We're doing something for our own selfish benefit, you know, maybe enjoyment or pleasure. But at the consequence of someone else, the animal's suffering, right? So we already recognize that the reduction of animal suffering in situations where it's possible is preferable. And veganism is just that extension. It's just saying, well, hang on a minute. What we do for food is also not something we need to do. We don't have to do these things. We're doing it for a selfish reason, for a personal benefit that we don't have to. And so if it's wrong to an animal for a selfish reason, then it's wrong to kill them and eat them for a selfish reason as well. And if we think that reducing animal suffering is preferable, then
we're not benefiting ourselves.
The best way we can reduce animal suffering is by simply not paying for them to be bred into an existence that causes them suffering and harm and then prematurely takes their life. Does that make sense?
Yes.
What do you think about that?
I guess like, I don't know, we kind of are selfish as like humans. Like I personally am. I would prefer like to eat a cow or something.
Yeah.
And it's just.
Do you think? I mean, obviously we do a lot of selfish things. You know, that's just, you know, part of, I suppose, having this ego that we have, you know, a drive for self-fulfillment. But I guess with what you're saying is it's almost like an appeal to futility. And what I mean by that is obviously we're never going to live in a perfect world. And obviously humans are deeply flawed and we're never going to be these perfect beings who never set a foot wrong and do no harm. That's never going to happen. But at the same time, isn't it, or at least I believe that it should be our goal to try and get to that point as close as possible. Whilst perfection doesn't exist, and whilst, you know, a truly purely moral life will never exist because, you know, that's the foundations of life, right? That doesn't mean that we shouldn't strive to try and get there as close as possible. And so if we can reduce suffering and harm in a very practical way, I think morally we should pursue that, because even though the world will never be perfect, it doesn't mean we shouldn't try to make it better.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. And do you agree that a world that reduces animal harm is better than a world that turns a blind eye to animal harm?
Ideally, yeah, if it doesn't like, because that's going to cause like other consequences.
Yeah, like other consequences like kindness and compassion and treating people, you know, how you want to be treated. What unbelievable consequences would come from a vegan world? Oh man. Can you guys imagine that hellhole? Oh my God, that dystopian hellhole that would be a world where people like just treated others like how they wanted to be treated. I can't even imagine. That would be insane.
Really, yeah.
I do, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, we've had a great conversation. I've kept you for quite a while, so I don't want to keep you all day. I know that you've got important work to do for your life and career, so I really appreciate you stopping in and chatting with me, Raphael. Thank you so much for your time and for your humility and your answers. I guess the final question would be, would you be interested in going home, having a look into some protein sources, having a look at maybe some vegan athletes, vegan bodybuilders, having a look at people who actually live in a way that is much in alignment with the way that you're living currently, but doing so on a plant-based diet? Would that be something you'd be interested in? And then if you realize that you could do that and you could eat a plant-based diet and still achieve your body goals, and it really wouldn't be much of a sacrifice at all, would it be something you would be tempted into doing?
Yeah, if there wasn't like, I'd have to like research definitely.
Oh, please do. Please do.
Okay, well, good job. Good job, Ed. That was a pretty good discussion, I thought. Speaking of like bodybuilders and athletes, I've been following Novak Djokovic. You know, he's the best tennis player who ever lived, basically. Also a vegan athlete. And tomorrow he'll play in the Geneva Open final against Hubert Hurkacz, who also happens to be mainly plant-based. But yeah, I think you can do fine on a vegan diet, guys. Yeah. Yesterday was Novak's 38th birthday, and he's still kicking ass. Still kicking ass. Let me drop the link to Ed's video here so y'all can give him the vegan bump. The Jeremy bump. Sorry. Djokovic is vegan. I would call him vegan because he is vegan for not just health, but ethical reasons as well. So I would call him a vegan, whether or not he calls himself one or not. All right, Alicia sent a video. Let's check it out. This is Mark Passio, and this, by the way, is our friend Light Occult Revival. We watched some Mark Passio. I went on Jeffrey Phillips's channel, and we watched, it was like maybe an hour-long talk or something that he gave. And anyway, we still need to do that follow-up, by the way. There's like 3 parts to it, I think. But apparently Mark Passio has turned a lot of people vegan, including people who have come over to my channel over from Jeffrey's. So let's take a look.
And this is because the universe is obeying, as it always has and always will, the law of correspondence. It is one of the natural laws embedded into the universe. That which is above is like to that which is below, and that which is below is like to that which is above. Shortened, as above, so below, as below, so above. The universe is self-similar across all scales of existence and with regard to all forms of behavior. As we farm, farming will be done unto us. As we consume animals we have no right to take, others will consume us. This scene does not depict the natural order, as many will insist that it does. Oh, all life eats other life. All life has to kill other life to live. Untrue. Not true. You're not killing plant life to use vegetables and fruit to sustain oneself. It is a continuous growth cycle. You're not taking an individuated life. As we're going to talk about, plants are an earth consciousness that is embedded and bound to the earth. And when you clip things off of plants or out of the earth, it is like taking hair out of a human being or cutting hair from a human being. You know, obviously trimming it is better than plucking it out. That's why people make the argument we should be moving more toward a diet where you're not taking the plant from the earth, but you're using what it produces. I'm not that much of a purist. I still eat vegetables and fruits, you know, and nuts, seeds, berries, etc. Okay. And forms of, you know, some human modified foods that are protein based. Okay. So this scene does not depict the natural order. Rather, it depicts the chaos that we have chosen and created for ourselves through false belief systems or religions. So this middle fish that is eating the smaller ones, but also being eaten by the big fish, will be humanity for as long as we continue to engage in fundamentally flawed ideologies such as carnism. What we do unto others will be done unto us. And that is a universal law that can never be broken. That's called the law of correspondence. I believe it is the third of the Hermetic principles behind mentalism and polarity. Because what this is all about, folks, is heart-based intelligence. This is where people fall short. They're always trying to reach the understanding of something from the head, from the brain only. And that can never be done. Not with true holistic intelligence. You can only maybe come to some conclusions accurately about things intellectually, but only so many things and only for so long. At some point, it has to go to the dynamic of the heart energy. And this is where so many of us fall short because we're not growing in spirituality and heart-based intelligence. And many people think there is no such thing as real conscience, or it's subjective, or there is no such thing as real spirituality, or there is no such thing as enlightenment. You know, that's how solipsistic the world has become. We can't just put ourselves into the heart energy and just feel whether something is right or not. Compassion is so lacking in human beings. We've become technologically advanced and practically compassionless creatures.
True that. Yeah. I mean, when you got people arguing to me that, it's okay to kill someone because in your view that they're not making rational decisions is so heartless. and just wrong. It's just so obviously wrong, and it kind of blows my mind that people can hold those beliefs, not only hold them, but fight for them in a way that they will go onto people's channels and give them money just to get their message read, just to have that idea put out there and to get slammed down. And I mean, yeah, anyway.
Even when we see bad things happening to human beings, let alone 100% totally innocent beings that have done nothing to harm us. From
Right?
the animal kingdom that we're supposed to be stewards of, like parents are stewards under their child, under their children. We're not doing any kind of a good job as stewards of this planet or the other creatures that live
Nope.
upon it.
Nice video.
And this,
Put that link in there. And there was another one. I'll scroll up. That's Mark Passio.
world country.
This seems to be
from
part of
some-
the same talk
could have been a
here.
duck, I'm not sure.
And this, I believe, is what made so I mean, Alicia had an open mind at this point to this stuff, and I think this is what is that right, Alicia? This was the talk that kind of made you decide, yeah, vegan.
Could have been a duck, I'm not sure, in some third world country from somebody who was trying to hold it down and cut its head off with an axe. Okay. And I think it was a turkey or a chicken. And this baby was crying and finally got it away from the person and, wanted it to go free because they recognize that we don't need to do that. It's unnecessary to do. Okay. And most people see that, especially from when they're young. But then it's
Yeah, I see those videos on my social media feed from time to time. I'll get those, videos of basically babies or very young toddlers in tears saying, "Why are you doing this?" There was a really powerful one where this little girl was arguing with her family, "Why are you eating that fish?" She's like, "The fish wanted to live just like you." And it's like, it's pathetic that the kids are making more sense than the parents. But that's conditioning for you.
beaten out of us, and carnism is beaten into us. That compassion is beaten out and carnism is beaten in.
Yeah.
It's a religious, dogmatic belief system. Carnism is a dogmatic religion based entirely upon violence, because that's what has to be done for people to eat the flesh of animals. Violence has to be conducted upon them. The main belief system of carnism is that it is morally justifiable and or necessary for human beings to kill animals and eat their dead flesh. Okay, now, first of all, if you saw what the meat that we're really eating looks like before it is quote unquote dressed, most people wouldn't eat it because it has the absolute color of death. Okay, it would be looking like you're eating a zombie carcass if you ate meat as it
By the way, here's a little preview of an interview that I plan to release tomorrow. So I'll just go ahead and say who the interview is with. It's with Elizabeth Malampy, who's written a book called "Forget the Camel," and it's about animal festivals. So each chapter talks about a different animal festival, and these are American animal festivals. So she goes to like things that are so innocuous as like a butterfly festival in California, or like, there's like this jumping frog festival. There's Punxsutawney Phil, the Groundhog Day thing. And she talks about some of the more violent ones like rattlesnake roundups and the Lobster Fest in Maine. And one of the points that she made about the Lobster Festival is that we're always seeing lobsters depicted as bright red, and that's not what they look like until they are boiled alive. Then they are red. And so even in our cartoons and things, like I don't know. I never watched SpongeBob, but is there a clam or I mean, sorry, not a clam, a lobster in that? Wasn't there like a lobster in Little Mermaid? They're always like bright red, and in reality, they look gray, grayish brownish, I think.
Really would look if it was shipped to the supermarket without the dressing of the meat industry. And just look up what that's called. Okay. I'm not really going to talk about it much in this presentation, but it's called dressing meat. Okay. The process of dressing meat. Literally, they're dressing it up to make it look like something other than what it really is. The red coloring, that's not what meat really looks like. That's not what anything that is being consumed that came from an animal looks like. It's often pale gray to even a black color, to a dark gray or even black. Okay. They inject it with dyes to make it colored that red color. Okay. So most people would be horrified if they looked into the meat industry. Look up the documentary called Earthlings. Okay.
That's what made me go vegan. Earthlings. Yep. And I mean, the thing about Earthlings too, it's like you understand conceptually that an animal is killed for you to eat that animal, but until you've seen what it looks like, and I don't mean like a PETA video here or there. Shout out to PETA, they're awesome. But like one or two PETA videos where you see like a couple minutes, but when you see it in a film laid out one after the other, 90 minutes of pure carnage, like it's undeniable. You either confront it or you bury your head in the sand at that point. And I chose to confront it. After 34 years of not intentionally, but unintentionally burying my head in the sand.
Earthlings was the documentary that started to really wake me up about what's going on with carnism.
Nice.
Okay. Look up Dr. Melanie Joy. There's another individual look up regarding the belief system called carnism. And I would also recommend the work of Gina Carr. Okay. So, and there's
Gina
many
Carr.
others, many.
Don't know Gina Carr. Melanie Joy is the one who wrote the book, Why We Love. What is it called? Why We Love Dogs. I'm blanking on it. It's like Why We Love Dogs, Eat Pigs. I don't remember. Something like that.
Many others. Okay. Too many to go into in this presentation because I have too much to get to. All right. But that's what carnism is. And I define this as a religion, and it is what I call the ultimate expression of domination. This is dominion over others. That's what it is, which is what human beings do not have. We think we have it.
Red is the
but we
color
don't
of
have
ripe
it. We
fruit.
should only have dominion over.
That's right. That's right. I saw this said before, and I don't know if this is true or not, but someone made the point that the reason that we see these bright colors like red, blue, green is because they are what tells us what are healthy for us, which kind of makes a lot of sense. Like why we would see brightly colored fruits and vegetables. And now we know that when we eat like a great big salad with lots of color in it, that's going to be healthy for us.
For ourselves, which is where freedom. All right. But that's what carnism is. And I define this as a religion, and it is what I call the ultimate expression of domination. This is dominion over others. That's what it is, which is what human beings do not have. We think we have it, but we don't have it. We should only have dominion over ourselves, which is where freedom ultimately leads. When we have dominion over ourselves, we enter a state of being free. That's what the word freedom really means. Okay. We don't have dominion over ourselves. We can't even control our own animalistic tendencies and behaviors. Okay. And the urge to kill, the bloodlust that's within us, most of us.
That's true. Yeah. We're supposed to like be controlling the world and we can't even control ourselves. Like, look at how many times I've eaten these freaking wasabi edamame things. I have no control over that, guys. No control.
Okay.
I keep pouring them.
But
I know they're healthy though.
Don't have dominion over other creatures
green.
that are not us, including the animal kingdom, including other human beings, and including the animals of the animal kingdom. Okay. Anybody that thinks that is a religious nut. that believes a wrong interpretation of the Bible because it never says that we are given dominion over the animals ever, anywhere in the Bible. And it never says we should be using them for sources of our food. It says take the fruit of, the trees and every fruit bearing and a tree and plant and its seeds, etc., and use that as your food. That's what it actually says in the Old Testament, believe it or not. And I know most fake ass Christians won't bother to look it up because they only go by what their fake ass Christian preacher told them at their fake ass church on Sunday. Okay. That's all they give a shit about.
So based.
They have a religion, the truth be damned. What God intended be damned. What nature intended be damned. They just go by what their Bible thumping preacher told them, or their church, the dogmatic religious belief system of their church told them. We're going to get into that.
Nice.
Could have been a duck. I'm not sure. In some
All right. Let me link to that video. And guys, sub to Light Occult Revival, who is in the chat with us right now. She's awesome. Also, Jeffrey is awesome. And they do content together. So Jeffrey Phillips and Ali, Light Occult Revival. It's good stuff. So yeah, that number better go up. Give Light Occult Revival the Jeremy bump. The Jeremy bump, because you know what? They have given me the Ali bump, the Jeffrey bump, the Alicia bump. I've gotten those bumps. I'm all bumpy. I'm all bumpy. Thanks to you guys. Thanks for the bumps, guys. You made me bumpy. All right. I should do another dramatic reading. Y'all tell me your vegan stories. That's what this stream was supposed to be about. But let's see. Okay. So let me share this. So I put this post up the other day. Tell me your vegan story. I'll honor it when I go live in a bit. Then I fell asleep. I didn't. But I need it. It's better because y'all needed time to share your stories. So here's my buddy Adam Durand. If y'all don't know Adam Durand is one of the people who's done time for rescuing animals, for doing open rescue. So definitely someone y'all should know, and someone we'll have on this channel soon. All right. Got to get the music. Let me try to find a good one to read this. I'm going to need some length. These are a bit longer. Okay. Cinematic drone, light rock. I think I have to share the music thing for it to play, right? Yeah, probably. Okay. That ain't it. That ain't it. Post rock. I won't do you like that, Adam. I won't do you like that. None of these are hitting. But I need more than 2 minutes. Let's go with oh, that's post rock again. Let's try this one. This is all royalty-free music. Well, damn, like half of this is just the intro. Okay. That's Adam right there. That is Adam. That's him. That's him. The year was 2002. I was right out of college. Had a high school friend and her boyfriend over for dinner. They were vegan. So I looked up ways I could accommodate them. I made a veggie stock fondue that we added skewered tofu, vegan meatballs, and veggies into. And then, after a few minutes of cooking, we took the items out to dip into creamy vegan sauces. Then dessert was chocolate fondue, of course. After dinner, I told my friend how much fun I had putting together a vegan meal. Hey, hang on, it's getting a little loud, Y'all help me with the volume. Damn it, where's it at? Shoot, oh shoot. Oh shoot, I lost it. Damn it, we're gonna have to restart. All right. We're restarting. Let me get, sorry. I have way too many tabs open, way too many. Okay, let me clear that out a little bit. Clear that out. Where did it go? Oh, there we go. Okay. I'll start again. The year was 2002. Now, mind you, that's 23 years ago. So if this guy isn't dead, then I think veganism is okay. I was right out of college, had a high school friend and her boyfriend over for dinner. They were vegan, so I looked up ways I could accommodate them. I made a veggie stock fondue that we added skewered tofu, vegan meatballs, and veggies into, and then, after a few minutes of cooking, we took the items out to dip into creamy vegan sauces. And dessert was chocolate fondue, of course. After dinner, I told my friend how much fun I had putting together a vegan meal, and he said, "Why don't you go vegan then?" I've been vegan ever since. It was that easy. Wow, this friend. I didn't expect what happened next. I knew nothing about animal rights. I supported them in theory all my life, but had nothing past a surface level understanding. When a bartender overheard a friend mentioning I was vegan, he verbally berated me for several minutes. What a dickhead. He called me naive. You're naive, bitch. He said I was a hypocrite for wearing leather shoes. He told me he'd eat 2 animals for every one I saved. How do you come back from that, Adam? What do you do? What do you do when someone hits you with something that heavy, something that hard hitting? Well, he went home. He joined an online forum for vegans and animal rights activists, and soon was finding people locally who shared his values and wanted to change the world with him. And that is when Adam Duran truly became a vegan. And it looks something like this. Look at him. Look at him go. Look at him soar into the sky. Unbelievable. These vegan powers he grew. Amazing. Whoa. And it's all because that guy said, "Why don't you go vegan?" That's what it took. Wow. What did you do to that guy who said he was going to eat 2 chickens, right? 2 chicken meals for every vegan meal you ate? Called you out for the leather shoes. I bet he's no more. I bet he's no. Wow. Well, that was Adam Duran's vegan story. Wow. He exited the earth even. So when you go vegan, I mean, those are the powers. Those are the kinds of powers you can expect. All right, well done, Adam. That was good. Every vegan's regret. Wish I did it sooner. Mary's here. Mary dropped her story. All right. All right. Now we do Mary's story. First, Mary said she didn't have time, and then I fell asleep and didn't stream last night as planned. But now we have it. This is a long one too. So I'm going to need a lot of music. We might even need 2 tracks for this one. We might need 2 tracks, guys. Ooh, hang on. This too shall pass. 7 minutes, 28 seconds. It's like they read our minds. This is going to be Mary's. Let's hope it works. I'm already sold because of the length. If we need to, we can go to that one. That one's nearly 6 minutes. Let's see what this sounds like first, see if it's appropriate. What do you think, Mary? Does that sound like your vegan story? That might be it. What do you think? Let me check. Mary? Hello, Mary. Talking to you. No. Yeah, Superman needs it. Superman needs oxygen, but Adam Duran doesn't. Adam Duran can hold his breath for minutes at a time. I'm pretty sure. And that's how long he was in space for. What do you think, Mary? Is that your... I might just have to make an executive decision with that. All right. We're going to start. This is Mary's vegan story. Here it is. Mary's vegan story. She writes, a few years ago, I met someone in a chat on a YouTube channel devoted to The Walking Dead. His name is Aaron, and he had his own gaming channel. That's our boy Aaron P. Go sub to Aaron P if you're not subbed to Aaron P. Mary and I were fellow Aaron P heads. That's right, we're Aaron P heads. And it doesn't matter what that sounds like. Well, she visited and subscribed. Turns out, Aaron's a vegan. She told him she was vegetarian and her son was vegan. But Aaron never really responded to it. Occasionally, Mary would get heat from others in the chat. I even got heat from me. I don't even remember. Might have happened. She didn't understand why these people were being so negative. So negative. Her son had never said anything other than every little bit helps. So Mary withstood the assaults on her character. While she was a part of that community, she met this kid, JL. Always eating cookies, that JL. That was kind of a smartass, but she enjoyed his banter for a few months. Who is this JL? Then JL disappeared. She had always thought JL was someone that had been banned from AP's channel. A person she was quite fond of, by the way. When JL disappeared, she thought the mods had caught on. Farewell, JL, you witty, comical, and fun kid. I'll forever miss you, she said. Time marches on. She became a devoted fan of AP, that's Aaron P, and continued to be told by some to adjust my morals. Damn, why the hate? Damn! One day, JL reappears and reveals himself to be Jeremy Loeb to prove he isn't a banned subscriber. Okay, Mary was wrong. Life goes on. I don't even know this story. Early in January 2025, I'm scrolling through AP's comments and I see a message from Jeremy Loeb. Something about Thailand. Was it? I don't know. Probably not about Thailand. She recognizes the name. She clicks on the avatar. Lo and behold, this kid has a channel? I like how you call me kid. And he's streaming Bee Simulator? Whoa. I did stream Bee Simulator once. Because, guys, I found out what it was like to be a bee, okay? Piers Morgan, he's always talking about, what about the bees? I said, okay, I will go in. I will do it. I will be a bee. I will come out the other end of this stream more knowledgeable about what it is to be a bee. And so now I'm something of a bee expert, you might say. So through the months, Mary's watched my gaming streams, then watched my reaction streams. She believes Lonely Mountain is when she met Verdant Jedi and found a companion on this really weird journey. Oh, wait, I missed something. There was something funny that we missed. Wait. I skipped a lot. Let me back up. So she immediately joined his channel, and she's the 200th subscriber. Imagine that. Mary was my 200th subscriber. Oh, that was so long ago. Now I'm up to, what, 335. She's told he knows a few Marys, but is this the Mary from AP's channel? And Mary said, who? She froze because she was expecting a kid. She recovered a little later and gave a hint. Gonna get some cookies. She's clever. Pebble in your shoe and Sunday were there. Pebble in your shoe, where you been? Pebble in your shoe is the first person that ever joined one of my live streams, ever. Because my first ever live stream was the game Alien Isolation. And Pebble in your shoe watched and laughed repeatedly as I died over and over again, eaten by an alien. No mercy, Pebble. But where you been, Pebble? Anyway, Pebble in your shoe and Sunday were there. Mary had no idea she had just entered into another vegan channel. No clue. Her first experience wasn't totally negative, but she wasn't sure she would return. Then Jeremy played South Park, and she knew I was a kindred spirit when he saw a naked woman in the stream. I'm not sure how she knew that, but that's what happened. There was a naked woman on it. Sorry, I'm checking the chat. Not adding a ton to this. There was a naked woman. You opened the door, there was a naked woman. We laughed our asses off. It was me and Mary laughing. It was so funny. So through the months, she's watched my gaming streams. She's watched my reaction streams. And it was Lonely Mountain, the biking gang, when she met Verdant Jedi and she found a companion on this really weird journey. Cyberpunk has really been a blast with my community. Well, here's the thing, guys. She went vegan on her birthday in mid-March because she watched Dominion, finally. She thanks Jeremy for telling her what her son was afraid to explain to her. I am her vegan hero. I know you all are crying right now. I know we're all crying. We went through a lot just now. We went through a lot. Laughs, tears, heartache, joy, pain, sorrow, ups and downs. But we came out better people, didn't we? Perfect length of time for that music. Put a W in the chat for Mary, who was here, going vegan, which I didn't know, by the way.
Noticing hair loss here.
I didn't know that.
I needed to do.
Mary neglected to tell me that she went vegan in mid-March. But that's amazing. Good job, Mary. Felix is here. W for Mary. Yes, thank you, Kane. Thanks for another stream. Just tuning in now as I helped out the local WTF chapter with their event after work. Good job. Yeah, and W's for Felix as well for doing the work. Doing the work. Let me catch up on these chats here. More like vegan Batman. I was traumatized by what I was responsible. So took up the mantle of the vegan and swore an oath that I'd fight injustices. Wow. You swore an oath. That's good. We got to get you some music for that. Let's get you some music. No. Just breath. Let's try that one. Yes. Yes. If I can be vegan, what's your excuse? Says, I'm more like vegan Batman. I was traumatized by what I was responsible for, so I took up the mantle of the vegan. And I swore an oath that I would fight injustices. I hope it builds. I'm sorry, that did not capture it. Nor did the message just breath. I believe they wanted to say just breathe, but they said just breath. Bit of a fail. Bit of a fail there. But not the story. The story was heroic. Someone else left a message on my post. And this is called, sorry, this person is Scruffy Lives. This is also a long one. And they warn us. Sorry, they warn us that this is a cautionary tale. By the way, y'all, the point of all this, it's fun, obviously. It's silly. But it's also like a bit of appreciation to you all. Because this channel on Sunday turns 1 year old. On Sunday is my channel's birthday, as well as JL's birthday. So, a year on, we've done a lot, haven't we? We've played Alien Isolation. We saw naked women in South Park. I think we all grew a little in that moment. And we played Cyberpunk. We biked mountains. We learned what it was like to be a bee. Just the other night, I learned what it's like to be a female kitty cat. And I plan to continue in that new life as a female kitty cat with the game A Walk in the Woods. So if y'all are free later, you should watch me play A Walk in the Woods, because I think I need to continue that game because it's amazing. And we are having fun in that stream because I have to do all the voices because it's all text-based. So if you want to hear me make every female character in the game sound like they're British, and you can hear my rendition of someone who fishes, which is not pretty. It is not pretty. Then tune in for that. But yeah, we've done a lot over this past year. I think we've grown. Mary went vegan. That's a win right there. We can thank the channel, right? Mary did that though. But that's a bit of a channel win. We can sort of like take partial credit, right?
So when
This
a
one
client
right
comes to
here.
us with an ask to launch an influencer marketing campaign, the process is pretty streamlined. So
Shout out Aaron P. That's where I met Mary, was in Aaron P's stream. Aaron P's been he's just a fun, his streams are fun. He games. He's just a solid guy. I like Aaron P a lot. He just doesn't take things too seriously and has fun with it. And that was the vibe I got, and that's why we would just banter in his chat. I mostly just hit on Aaron P the entire time, you know, as a joke. I just like hit on him. But that's my boy. What does this sound like? Is this good for a cautionary tale? Perhaps. It doesn't sound like a cautionary tale to me. Doesn't sound like it. It's the right length. Dramatic. Wait, let's do cautionary music. Cautionary. Let's see if that even brings up anything. Let's try mysterious music. Mysterious music. Yeah. Here we go. Too short. Come on now. I saw one that's like 4. Let's see if we can get one that's like at least 5 minutes. They're all short. Okay, we'll try this one. Dark suspense, thriller, mystery.
At AbbVie, bold dreams meet bold science. We've invested billions in R&D and counting to drive science.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What game? Thank you for the birthday wishes and the channel birthday wishes. Oh no, Mary's lagging? Oh God. It's because it was too much. It was too emotional. That's why. Stream can't keep up with all that. All right. This is, again, a cautionary tale, I'm told, by Scruffy Lives. This is her vegan cautionary tale. Y'all help me with this one could be loud. Let's see. I think that's good. Okay, here we go. I'll tell my vegan story, but I'm too loud. Hang on. You might need to wear headphones to be able to hear the music well, but I'm not proud of it. I'll tell my vegan story, but I'm not proud of it. Its only value is to use as a cautionary tale. Be strong and do what you know in your heart and mind is right. Don't wait. I've been sympathetic to animals for as long as I can remember. Sorry, I'll do it at third person. They've been, I don't know their gender. Okay, I'll just do it first person. I've been sympathetic to animals for as long as I can remember. I had a dog companion from age 2 and grew up with him. He was a person to me. I grew up Catholic, and when I was taught that only humans have souls and go to heaven and animals do not, well, I felt that was unfair and wrong, and it troubled me that my dog was not going to heaven. I refused to believe that. Unfortunately, this did not lead me on the path to veganism. It did start me on my path to rejecting religion. I grew up in an Italian family, and my father was a chef, so eating animal products was always a part of my life. I didn't think anything of it And I certainly did not make the connection between how I viewed my dog and how other animals were. I could go on to tell tidbits during my childhood, but I'll fast forward. And I'll back up so we have time. You fast forward, I'll back up. We'll do it. In my late teen years, I finally started putting some action to my growing ethics. My big issues during this time were anti-hunting, anti-fur, and anti-experimentation. I started looking for products that had the label "not experimented on animals." But I still ate meat. I distinctly remember that the animals were killed peacefully and that it was just meant to be. Thinking that the animals were killed peacefully. Then at age 20, I decided to go vegetarian. I don't recall the exact reason, but my guess is despite my fairy tale of peaceful death, it did bother me some. Anyway, I was still living at home. My father went nuts. He screamed like a nut. He didn't just go nuts. He screamed like a nut. He basically became a nut. Hopefully, he reverted back. Here is where my shame and the lesson for all of you young soon-to-be vegans comes in. I backed down. I didn't want to move out / get kicked out. I enjoyed my cushy life at that time and was not willing to give it up. So I continued to eat flesh. Over the years, yes, years, I went back to telling myself that animals were meant to die for us to live. I hated meat that looked like flesh. I preferred flesh that did not look or taste like a dead body. I liked burgers, hot dogs, sausages, stuff that got seasoned and did not have the texture of flesh. But as the years went on, it would still bother me, and I felt more and more guilty. I knew it was wrong, but it was a habit. I avoided educating myself on the animal industry. I just lived my life, keeping my eyes down, not wanting to rock my boat. And then one day, it changed, partially. And guys, with that change, we're going to change the music. Hang on. We're going to change the music because there's been a shift. Let's go back to Heroic because I can tell we're about to get there.
When it comes to video creation, every detail matters. I go to Artlist
Heroic
for music that matches my vision. The more options I have, the bigger my story
Here we go.
becomes.
Here we go. Already got an iceberg, glacier, whatever. I don't know. That'll do. That'll do. I think. As I was saying, and then one day it changed, partially. As part of my job, I had to sit and watch a video produced by the World Bank on projects it funded for ending poverty in Africa. One of the featured projects was a meat production operation. I don't recall if they showed animals being killed, but I do recall them showing piles of heads of animals stacked in the side of the room. I avoided seeing the victims of my lifestyle my whole life. This was the first time I saw it. I went vegetarian on the spot that day. I was an embarrassing 37 years old. I have not eaten flesh since that day. But I cringily did not think eating milk or eggs was wrong. I didn't think the animals were hurt or killed in the production of it. I didn't even consider stuff like the rape of cows, their babies taken from them, etc. Again, I chose to remain blissfully unaware. As cow milk alternatives started gaining traction, I did begin to use them more. And by my last few years of being vegetarian, I only ate milk and egg products that were already made, aka baked goods. But in the back of my mind, I knew I was a hypocrite. I even had a coworker who was vegan ask me why I wasn't. And my answer was like so many others, cheese. Love cheese. And here's the last bit. So I was vegetarian for ethics and I thought I was doing my part. I was a good person, blah, blah. I bought the book Modern Savage by James McWilliams. In one of the early chapters, maybe first, he described what he saw on a dairy farm. And just like the video of the animal heads, I changed on the spot. From that moment, I went vegan. I was an embarrassing 45, nearly 46 years old. I have been vegan now for just over 9 years. We need crowd noise. I noticed, by the way, y'all, this was a big part of my story was the crowd noise. I don't think y'all could hear it. The sound was, you know, the sound you make when you're like playing basketball as a kid. That's the sound that we should have just heard for Scruffy Lives just now. Vegan for 9 years. So from the time when I first felt the urge to change to actually fully changing, it was an awful 25 years. I tell this long-winded story not out of pride of living an ethical life now, but rather embarrassment. Embarrassment at my weakness and ego. Embarrassment at my self-centeredness. Choosing my comfort in my habits and traditions over doing what I knew deep down from when I was a child was the right thing. So there are 2 lessons I hope my vegan story teaches people. One is don't wait. You know deep down what the right thing to do is. That's your ethics talking to you. Listen, do it. Do the right thing and go vegan today, now. Just like that. Second lesson, it's never too late. While yes, we should have gone vegan a long time ago, don't let that impact on the fact you can go vegan now. Do it. You've waited for too long. Dennis, you've waited for too long. Go vegan right now. If you're not inspired by Scruffy Live's story, I don't know what will. Sorry for the way too long story, and believe me, I could have made it even longer. But I think the lesson is a good one. If you're young, don't be like me. Don't wait. Go vegan. You won't regret it. Aligning your lifestyle with your ethics is the best thing you can do. If you're older, well, it's not too late. Best day to go vegan was yesterday, but the next best day is today. Do it. That's how they end. Beautiful stuff. All right. Kudos to Scruffy Lives. That was really nice. And by the way, if you would like to send Scruffy Lives a nice message, or Mary, who is actually in the chat, or Adam Duran, not only is Adam Duran vegan, he's an animal rights activist who rescues animals and did time. He spent time in prison for rescuing animals. And there's the post. So if y'all want to send, especially Scruffy Lives, because Scruffy Lives thinks that their story is embarrassing. And while I understand their point, they deserve credit for telling their story. It's a beautiful story. Nice. Thank you, Mary. Okay, let's see. Let me catch up. I have not caught up. I've not been really as much on the comments today as I should be. Meat production to reduce poverty. Yeah, those oh my God moments, right, Alicia? One of the lamest responses, I could never go vegan, but I really respect vegans, right? Yeah, there's always better late than never. A walk in the woods, that's the game. That's, you know, honestly, people who have watched me game, you know, people who have watched me game will probably notice a trend, and that's I'm often a female character. Always. Like, I mean, very often I'm a female character. I played through Lara Croft, Tomb Raider. I chose a female character in Cyberpunk. I'm a female kitty now. Just throwing that out there. Maybe I was born female. Maybe I'm female on the inside, you know? Could be. Could be. but I didn't mean to get all political here. Second favorite vegan. Is your first favorite JL? I think you're. What is this? What is this? Yeah, it is always beautiful to know. Indeed. Are y'all shocked that I'm going to play some Mel and Steve? Every stream. Every stream. And by the way, it's every stream because they post frequently. They post often and do great work. So this is Mel doing her thing. No sound. No sound? Okay. I wonder why that is. Why would there be no sound? So y'all just listening to me chew edamame? Yeah, just munching away on my edamame. I don't know how to fix that, honestly. But you know what? Maybe that's a good stopping point anyway. Unless y'all have vegan stories that you want me to read. That's what this was supposed to be, after all. I have to prepare the interview for tomorrow that I'm releasing again. That's going to be an interview I'm putting out. And then hopefully that'll be good. Hopefully y'all will like it. So at some point I need to work on a clip to promote it. Because, you know, people just don't come if they're not told about things. Put the captions. Well, that might be, I could do the voices. But this guy's cool. If he was like some meat flake, then I would do the voice for him. And then it would be funny. But because he's cool, it wouldn't be funny. Good night, Alicia. All right. Well, Alicia's gone. That's it. We got to go. There's no point. There's no point. We got to go. All right. So thanks for joining the stream, guys. Thank you to Mary, to Adam, and Scruffy Lives for sharing their vegan stories, and Alicia as well. Thank you, Jeffrey, Kane, Ali, Mobius, Felix. Yeah, but it's only over until I become a kitty again. So if y'all want to continue the party over on my PlayStation thing, just look for me a little bit later. All right, and make sure you're subbed to the channel if you're not. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you to the troll we had earlier for donating to the channel. I appreciate that. That helps. I don't know why they were why they felt the need to argue in favor of eating animals, but they did. They gave me money to do that. So thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Have a good night, y'all. And see you soon. Oh, man. God, that was rough. Had to hang out with all these fucking idiots again. Oh shit. Oh shit. I did it again. I'm just kidding, y'all. That's how I end this. Never mind. That's how I end the stream now. I do a little skit. This is supposed to be all love. Anyway, it's not funny a second time. And it wasn't funny, probably the first time. Anyway, good night, y'all. Good night. Good night. Good night.